people have problems. People who are middle class have problems. Rich people have issues. Wealthy people have issues. To sum it all up, they all just have a different set of problems. And we are all working through life. At least some of us are. Even judges. Okay, let's think about judges for a second. Federal judges have a hard time parenting because they can't be in two places at once. They may have a lot of money. They may have the money to send their kids to the best schools, have the money to live in the best quote-unquote neighborhoods, whatever that may mean to you. And they have the money to provide luxury, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they're having an easier time parenting, okay? Judges have a hard time parenting and they make $217K plus a year, right? That's good money. And that's even if it's just them. Now, let's say if they're married, who knows who they're married to? That's even more money. And they still have problems parenting. So I think realistically, it's not a money thing that makes parenting easier. Discipline issues can happen to anybody. Socializing with their kids is really a big issue because they really lack the engagement that they need to have because they can't be that involved with the line of work that they have. If you have a child that is a rebel, you can have a child that is a rebel, whether you're wealthy, rich, poor, middle class, whatever. It doesn't matter, okay? Not knowing your kids can happen to anybody. Thinking that you know your kids can happen to anybody. Bailing their kids out in secret happens more than you think, okay? Kids who take advantage of their parents' finances happens a lot more than you think. And I think that's kind of the worst type of kids to have, is kids that take advantage of the things that you work so hard to have, and they don't know how to earn anything because it's always given to them. So not having a lot of money, it isn't always a bad thing, and having a lot of money doesn't necessarily make parenting easier. My name is Shan. This is Mommy Rocky. This is Cozy One Podcast. And let's talk. Let's talk about this because a lot of people think, oh, I just need to have a lot of money to be a good parent. And that is clearly not the case. So for me, realistically, I want to teach my kids how to be financially smart because my dad didn't really get a chance to teach me that like he should. And my mom was I'll do it, don't worry about it, mom. And that really doesn't help because you kind of cripple your children from learning what they need to know eventually. And so I want to talk to my kids about my shopping decisions and why I make them. Not necessarily to check in with them, but to let them know, like, every item I pick up and I put in this cart, I have to pay for it, and I have to know its quality for what I need it for. I have to know, is it going to last just a day or is it going to last a couple of days, because I don't want to have to come back in the store and spend more money. So I want to teach my children how to be efficient. I also want to teach my kids how to manage money, how to spend, save, and invest their money, how, having a savings account and having a lot of money sitting in your savings account is not a stunt, it's not a brag, it's really embarrassing, because that tells me you're not knowledgeable enough to know that your money sitting in a savings account at a bank is making them more money than it's making you. And at the beginning of the day, okay, I'm going to start something new. At the beginning of the day, you want to know that you're making smart moves with your money because you're not going to be here for a long time. you're going to be here for a good time in life. And the good time in life is you're making smart money moves. And I want to teach my kids that. Retirement, I want to teach them about, what happens in retirement, and that retirement doesn't have to be at 59 years old anymore, okay? I think my generation of millennials have discovered, like, if I want to retire at 30, I'm going to retire at 30. If I want to retire at 40, I'm going to retire at 40. But it takes a lot of discipline, okay? I want to teach my kids about that. That is something I didn't have a lot of growing up because my mom was not a disciplinarian type of parent. And I want to teach my children the benefits of waiting to buy certain things, the benefits of researching their options, and not being impatient in spending, because that's very important. And realistically, when it comes to parenting, we spend a lot of money. So I understand why a lot of parents may think, if I had more money, parenting would be a lot easier. Not necessarily. I think people who have a lot of money put a lot more responsibility on other people for their children to turn out to be good humans. And that's a gamble as a parent that I'm not willing to take. I don't want to be the third party involved in my children's growth. Meaning, I'm the parent, but I send them to private school, and I'm depending on that teacher at the private school to teach my kids all that they need to know for the next grade and the next grade. And I don't really know how they're doing in class. I don't really know how they're struggling. I don't want to be the parent that sees my children with their quote-unquote friends, but I don't know who their friends are. I don't know who, their friends' parents are. I don't know how they're living. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're into. Like, I don't want to be the third-party parent, right? I might have to do an episode on that. But for parents, we pay for daycare. We pay our own bills for whatever lifestyle we have. We pay for kids' clothes. We pay for kids' doctors. We pay for kids' supplies, kid tickets to wherever they got to go, school trips, kids' games, school fees. Like, it's a lot of stuff that you pay for when you have a kid. And that's if you have a healthy kid. If you have a kid that has always been sickly, of course you're going to think money helps. But money doesn't fix people's children all the time. Money doesn't cure a disease that your child has to live with. Money doesn't buy away cancer, because a lot of kids may have cancer, So it's a lot of things that money can't buy. So some kids, as far as like what you may spend on them so they can be quote unquote well-rounded, might be like an instrument for orchestra if they're into music. Might be your kids want to join a team. Gymnastics is very expensive. Swimming lessons is like $70 a pop. Parents cannot afford that all the time. So sometimes parents may scrape for extracurriculars but can't afford to take off work to show up because they have to maintain their lifestyle. Just got a reminder right there for my car insurance and my home insurance. Like, we pay for so much stuff. And, some parents can't afford to take their kids to practice. Like, they need to go to practice for games. So a lot of kids don't experience, playing football or playing soccer, especially if you're a single parent. Like, how do you duplicate yourself? That used to be like my issue when my kids were really young, is how do I duplicate myself so my kids can have more, so my kids can do more? So that's a hard thing to do. Schools and people exploit parents who are well known to have money. That's a thing where they always volunteer you for shit. Like, and I had to say it that way because it's annoying. Why are you volunteering me for stuff that I didn't tell you that I could do or pay for or have? And how do you assume my finances even though you see me live a certain lifestyle? The audacity! It's the audacity! And this is another thing I want you to think about. Let's say, for instance, a family of 3, if you want to know where you fall financially. A family of 3 will be labeled as poor if they made $32K or less a year. A family of 3 will be labeled low middle class if you made between $32 to $53K a year, okay? Middle class, as of right now, is making $54K to $107K per year. Okay. Upper middle class is $107K to $300K. So a lot of people out here are what we call fake rich or fake middle class, because the reality is the cost of things is going up, but people's actual lifestyle and how they spend and save is not measuring out. It's not making sense. Okay? Money can help or cripple families' growth. Money can be a resource, but shouldn't always be the answer to things. And that's a lot of issue for a lot of parents is they replace time that they should be spending with their kids and their education and bonding with money. And it doesn't equate. And I think we all have to teach our kids to only take and use what they need, even if you're rich or you're middle class or you're lower middle class or you're poor. Like, take what you need, okay? A lot of people who are labeled as poor or low middle class are infatuated with name brands, fancy cars that they can't afford. If you are paying over $400 a month on a car payment and you make $53K or less, you are putting yourself in a deficit. And a lot of people think that's a cool, okay, normal thing to do, and it's not. Because if it was that somebody told you if you put $500K, not $500K, sorry, nobody's doing that. If you put $500 a month into a stock or S&P to have a better retirement, you would be comfortable in your retirement. But the reality is nobody wants to put $500 a month in savings or investing, but they want to put it in things that they can use now that depreciate, and it makes no sense. It's like they're paying themselves forward to be broke later. It's a mentality thing, and when it was broken down to me like that, I'm just like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So when I see families who are so focused on their kids having name brands from head to toe, the latest Jordans, when I see young generation of kids in line to pay thousands of dollars for sneakers multiple times a month, I'm just like, look at all those possible young millionaires if they made the right investments for themselves. And they need the knowledge more than I do. I'm in my 30s. They need the knowledge more than I do. You know what I'm saying? So it takes a very educated, knowledgeable person to really talk to your children about finances, or talk to you about finances so you can teach your children. And so when it comes to bad parenting, spoiled kids, maybe your kids being on drugs or addicted to drugs, maybe your kids are very highly sexually active, Are you looking for a nice, friendly way to support Cozy Womb Podcast? Well, you can at the Cozy Womb shop on Teespring. Just put in the Cozy Womb shop. It'll pop up. I did update the site. I got new mugs, new hoodies for the kids and mom and dad. Shirts, whatever you need. Masks, it's on there. The Cozy Womb shop for Cozy Womb Podcast. I appreciate you. Now back to the show. Back to the show. To be poor, struggling, middle class, rich, or wealthy, that could be your kid too. So when people say, if I was rich, this would be so much easier, or parenting would be so much easier, that's not true. That is not true. So I think we all, no matter where you fall in income, need to talk to your kids about budgeting a lot earlier. You need to talk to your kids about entrepreneurship and is it for them? You know what your child's personality is. You know if they're responsible. You know if they're efficient. You know if they can do what they need to do without you telling them 10 times. Like, you know. So don't say, I'm going to make you run my company. I'm going to teach you how to run my company. And you see your kid's personality and you know that they're going to make your company fail. Because their personality is not for that. Talk to your kids about credit usage. Talk to your kids about what it took for you to have the nice things that they're in. Have the nice things that they have. Talk to your kids about the ugly parts, the sacrifices, you not being able to eat what you wanted, you not being able to have what you wanted. Talk to them about that. It's the honest conversations that your kids need that make parenting easier. Middle-class families. Usually middle-class families, if they are married, own a home. That's something I don't do yet. I rent. They're saving for retirement. That's something I am doing. They're able to provide their children with a college education. That's something I'm not doing. Because the reality is, the way that our economy is, you don't need college to be successful. And that's something I figured out halfway through college. And for me, if I had to go back to high school and graduate and make a decision whether to go to college or work, I would have just worked. Because I could have got the same career that I have now without college. I probably could have spent more time investing in better things without college. College is the bulk of why my credit report looks like it does. You know what I'm saying? Like, college is what our parents thought was going to make us successful. That's why it was such a push for us. And when I say us, I'm talking like late 80s kids and up. Health insurance. Like, I have health insurance. I have health insurance for my kids. A car. Yes, I have a vehicle. Yes, it's car payment, but once I pay it off, I'll own it. But at the same time, that's something that I had to make a choice of. Like, do I want the car that's owned that gives me trouble and is not reliable, and I can't drive in confidence as a single mom with 2 kids? Or do I want the vehicle that I can depend on, that has a warranty, that has no mechanic problems, works, I can depend on it, I can get to and from work, I don't have to worry about what it's going to do, and make a small car payment and then own it? I had to have 3 vehicles before I got here. And those 3 vehicles I owned. I owned the Honda that people say it's a great vehicle. I owned the Honda CR-V, which is a great vehicle, but it had a lot of problems, and the problems weren't worth my sanity. I had a Mazda, trash vehicle. Let me tell you about Mazda. Mazda has a repeated problem of overheating. And if you ever buy a vehicle, don't you ever buy a Mazda, because if you look up all the cons of Mazda models, is they're overheating. They're just made incorrectly. But I didn't thoroughly do that. I don't really care about vehicles to the point of researching them, but I learned my lesson. And so it's you have to make smarter moves when you're parenting. Not like expensive ones. Oh, it must be good because it's expensive. Not necessarily. You have to do your research. Vacationing once a year. They think that's something all middle class families do. I haven't been on vacation since my oldest was 2. She's 8 now. Like, a lot of times that's not reality. So for me, when I look at friends who vacation multiple times a year, pay rent, may own their vehicle, have a child, have multiple children, may be single, might be married, and I look at their lifestyle, I can't compare it because we have to be like neck and neck on the same things going on. If I look at a friend that's married and they have more children than me, and they have a newer vehicle than me, and their kids have more than me, you got 2 incomes. I'm over here doing life with 1 income and 2 children. You know, it's different. And I think comparing yourself as a parent to other families can cripple your mind frame if you're not aware of the fact that instead of me going on multiple vacations during the year, I don't have to struggle when my bills come each month. You know what I'm saying? Instead of me having car issues, I purchased a vehicle that had no issues that I could depend on, instead of owning a car still that had issues that I can depend on. Like, it's decisions that are made that are different from other people, and with every decision that is made in every household comes certain problems. So my thing is, with all of this being said, money isn't the ultimate band-aid for everything. So don't look at it like, if I had more money, I could be a better parent. Because being a better parent means you need more time, more money will help, more knowledge, more patience. Like, there's more important things other than money to be a good parent or to have ease while parenting. So don't just think it's just about money. Because right now, I'm not struggling money-wise, but as far as like time to do things, I wish I had more time. I wish I could be at home and at the grocery store at the same time. I gotta go to the farmer's market today. Do I want to go? No. But do I know I'm the only one that can go? Yes. There are more important things other than money. Money is not going to make your parenting easier. Money is a resource, and we need to get back to treating it as such, not a replacement for our parenting. My name is Shan. This is Cozy Womb Podcast. I appreciate you guys for sharing, following, and leaving reviews on Apple Podcasts app or Google or Spotify. I appreciate you guys for checking out Cozy Womb Shop on Teespring. Everything that you guys do, even if you donate to the show on Red Circle, which is providing you this podcast, I appreciate it. It gives me more options on things that I can provide for the podcast and growing forward, because, 2022 is coming. We are growing forward. I have to come up with, better seasons for next year. I'm looking forward to it. And I just want to say, since 2018 of February, I believe, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all for checking out Cozy Womb Podcast. I appreciate y'all for, pushing it out there. And I appreciate y'all for sharing it, because parenting isn't for everybody, but for everybody involved in parenting. I am here with you. I am here to give you honest feedback. And thank you for y'all keeping up with me and following the new page on IG, the CZYWMB Podcast. Peace, and I will catch you guys next Monday for myth number 8, because it's a very good one and an honest one, because that's what I do. My name is Mama Rocky. I'm the mama of the girls, and I will check you guys later. Peace, be blessed, no rushing for the holidays, and be aware of your surroundings, and just know Christmas is not really about all of the toys. It's not really all of the getting. It's about the time spent.